The three items that came off the consent calendar. So we'll start with item 42. Teresa?
Commissioners, item 42.
All right, let's quiet down.
Okay. Item 42 is an action item. This is a STIP amendment. The San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit, BART, requests a STIP amendment to delay the construction phase for the Walnut Creek BART Transit-Oriented Development Intermodal Project from 2017 to 1920. The negotiations with the developer have taken longer than anticipated. That's why they need additional time. Staff recommends approval.
So Bart's here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Michael Tanner from BART. This has been a project in the works for about 10 years now. As you know, of the 45 BART stations, many of them have lots of surface parking, and so we work with the developers to take all the surface parking, put it in a garage, and then allow them to develop on the remainder of our space that we own. And with this developer, we have, it's called the Walnut Creek Transit Village Lifestyle Associates, and they are under contract now. We have an agreement with them. They are going to take and put all of our surface parking into a garage. They're going to start building the garage this summer. The reason why we're asking for the STIP allocation to be delayed is because the money we want to use for the STIP is for improvements within the BART station. The developer is going to make all the improvements outside where the parking used to be. We're going to make improvements to the BART station to allow for more people to come into the station. So that will occur towards the end of the project. The project will begin now. Our allocation will be for construction elements later in the project. That's why we're asking for the delay.
Mike, how long have you been in contract with the developer?
The contract has been in, well, we've been working on it for about 10 years with them. It's a public-private partnership. And the developer has been under contract for about a year now.
What happened the other 9 years?
So yeah, what happened to the other 9 years, Christine says to me?
It took a while to get here. You know, the economy and them wanting not to build, how much you're going to build, how much retail, how much, what type of, we're trying to get different types of housing, low-income housing. There will be no low-income housing on this project, but we're pushing for low-income housing on a lot of our other stations.
Well, my concern is that we allocated this $5.3 million, I forget what year.
We programmed these funds. I don't have my 2014 STIP, but they were then delayed to 17-18, reprogramming the 2016 STIP to 17-18. So now they are now delaying 2 more years.
When we program this, we want to get the money out the door as soon as possible. So, you got to keep your foot to the pedal here with these developers to make sure that they perform.
Yes, sir.
Speaking for what? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Is this a for-profit or non-profit developer?
It's a for-profit developer.
There's your problem.
I'm going to remember that.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 43.
Commissioners, item 43 is also an action item. This is a STIP amendment. The Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority requests a STIP amendment to delay the PSNE phase for the BART Extension Berryessa Santa Clara project from 1718 to 1920. The FEIR was completed in 2004 and the FEIS in 2010. Given the length of time it has been since the environmental documents were completed, a reevaluation is necessary as background conditions and regulatory settings have changed. Staff recommends your approval.
So moved.
I'll second that, and I'll wait for Commissioner.
Do we have someone that's going to speak?
Got a motion from Carl, second by Joe, question by Gilmetti, answers by...
Marcella Renzi, Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, BTA. A little more detail on the reevaluation. One of the things we're looking at is alternative tunnel construction, whether to go with a single wide bore or twin bore underneath downtown San Jose. That work is almost complete, and we are anticipating a record of decision by FTA in December of this year. However, that injected the other element of uncertainty and delay into the project, given Caltrain's recent experience. We are hopeful that we will indeed receive the record of decision promptly from FTA, and that they will then, a month or two later, enter into a full funding grant agreement with us for the balance of funding on the project. But we are anticipating that that may take more time.
This couldn't be done any sooner than now?
No.
I want to
I
thank,
assume the commissioner is referring to the environmental update?
Well, again, we've got $14.6 million that I'd like to put on the street, and now we've got basically another 2-year delay on it.
The funds are currently programmed to PS&E, which we can't enter into before the record of decision. We're certainly looking for the earliest opportunity to put them into work after that occurs.
we're in a slightly different time at the federal level than I think we'd anticipated. I want to thank, though, my colleague commissioners and staff. As you know, this is a two-segment process in which we as a commission and as a state have been investing in. The first segment that you've all graciously toured, that's the first 10-mile segment. That is still ahead of schedule. It's nearly $150 million under budget. This is segment 2, the boring through downtown San Jose and on to Santa Clara, and that record of decision is something that we still are trying to figure out the details with our federal government. So I hope that, it looks like Mitch wants to weigh in, but I hope that we will embrace the staff recommendation today.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the commissioners know, this is something we take into consideration when we do the targets for programming in the next step. So even though we're not going to sit on this 14 million, we'll make it available as a part of somebody's target in the next share. So it was already included in what was in tab 20 in the fund estimate targets.
Okay.
Any further questions? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 48.
Commissioners, item 48 is an action item. This is a STIP amendment. The Monterey County and the Transportation Agency for Monterey County request a STIP amendment to delay the construction phase for the Route 68 safety and operational improvements at Corral del Tierra project from 1718 to 1819. They are currently working on a study for the State Route 68 that addresses the ultimate needs and improvements for the corridor. With the passage of their county transportation measure in November 2016, which includes $50 million for this location, they need additional time in order to assess the study and determine if there is an opportunity for leveraging additional funds for ultimate improvements in the corridor. Staff recommends your approval.
So moved.
Motion by Carl, second by Jim. Question by Gilmetti, answered by Mora.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mara Toomey, Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Transportation Agency of Monterey County. We are requesting this extension for 3 major reasons. 3 things have changed since this was originally programmed. First, we received a SHARP 2, which is a federal grant to do some advanced studies on this corridor to make some more significant improvements. This corridor goes between the city of Monterey and Salinas and is one of the most highly traveled corridors and congested corridors in our region. The second thing is the passage of Measure X in Monterey County is providing TAMSI additional funds dedicated to this corridor so that we can make more significant improvements to the corridor. And third is this first project was listed as a signalization project. We were going to improve signalization along this corridor. A change in Caltrans policy in regard to roundabout constructions will allow us to put roundabouts at some of these intersections, which will provide better safety, and they'll save costs and decrease delay time within the corridor. In addition, it's important to note that this extension request will actually in the long run help save money on this project and provide better safety and better improvements for the corridor. And with that, I request your passage.
So will this delay, coupled with the new money, make a bigger project out of it?
Yes, it's a better project. We were doing short-term improvements, now we're going to do long-term improvements.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item 74, Jose.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public. Item 74 is an action item. This is the final EIR for the Fort Bragg Coastal Restoration and Trail Phase 2 project. The City of Fort Bragg determined that the adverse impacts could be mitigated to less than significant levels. Staff recommends your approval.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Madaffer. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 75.
Item 75 is an action item. This is the final EIR for the Sacramento to Roseville Third Main Track project. Capital Corridor Joint Powers Authority adopted a statement of overriding considerations, finding that the benefits outweigh the impacts. Staff recommends your approval.
So moved.
Motion by Art, second by Tavaloni. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 76.
Item 76 is an action item. This is the final EIR for the Lombard Street Vision Zero project. The City and County of San Francisco adopted a statement of overriding considerations, finding that the benefits outweigh the impacts. Staff recommends your approval.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Dunn. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 77.
Item 77 is an action item. This is the final EIR for the Coachella Valley Link Multimodal Transportation Project. The Coachella Valley Association of Governments adopted a mitigated monitoring and reporting program and a statement of overriding considerations and found that the benefits outweigh the impacts. Staff recommends your approval.
Second.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Art. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 78.
Yes, Commissioners, item 78 is two director's deeds. The department would be conveying 2 parcels to the city of South Pasadena. These parcels were bought as part of the 710 project. These parcels are zoned as open space. The city wants to use these for parks. Staff recommends that you approve this these director's deeds. There's also a reversionary clause in there that if these parcels are not used for open space, that they would revert back to the state.
Motion by Gilmetti, second by Inman. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item 79, Commissioners, is again director's deeds. These are 2 deeds where mitigation property is being conveyed to other agencies that would be taking care of this mitigation properties in perpetuity. One of them is to a city of Arcadia. The other one is to a nonprofit organization. The one to the nonprofit organization is carrying some monies for an endowment. Staff recommends that you approve these director's deeds.
Second. Motion by Tavaloni, second by Dunn. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next.
Next item is item 80. This is the preliminary closeout report on the 2016-17 right-of-way lump sum allocation. That allocation stood at $116 million. It was rather small. Normally, these allocations run about $185 million, and the smallness of allocation was due to the shrinking of the STIP, where $750 million worth of STIP projects were thrown out of the STIP, and another $750 million were delayed. Staff has reviewed the allocation, and everything seems to be hunky-dory and correct. Item 81 is the request for next year lump sum allocation for right-of-way. This one is at $212 million. It is larger than last year's. And there's also included in there $45 million for the border infrastructure projects and a $35 million inverse condemnation with a cemetery district. Staff would be recommending that you approve this lump sum allocation, but we would note that we are into discussions with the department how to do support allocations for right-of-way. And out of these discussions, there might be future changes in how we do the actual capital allocations. With that, staff recommends that you approve this allocation request.
Motion by Inman, second by Tavaloni. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, we're going to go to item 85. Christina.
Item 85, Commissioners, is an action item presented by the department. We'll tee it up for Mike Johnson, who I believe is in the audience. SB 486 authorized the Commission to adopt targets and performance measures to be included in the Transportation Asset Management Plan. Under item 25, the Commission adopted guidelines for the TAMP. In March of 2015, the Commission adopted 4 primary asset classes and 16 supplementary asset classes for inclusion in the final TAMP. That's a total of 20 asset classes to be monitored. In tab 85, the department proposes a refinement to those asset classes. Under the guidelines that were adopted earlier, the department may propose a refinement, addition, or deletion of the existing asset classes. The proposal that's being made under the department's book item come in 2 examples. The first example is a combination of a number of asset classes under one master category that would include maintenance stations, traffic management centers, equipment shops, and transportation laboratories to be collectively referred to as part of the transportation-related facilities category. The second example that Mike Johnson has reflected in the book item, the department's book item, is a removal of 2 supplementary asset classes, namely highway and bridge barrier assets that are really categorized and tracked by the department in the department's maintenance program level of service and through the department's other safety programs. To include them in the robust way that we have required under the TAMP guidelines to be included in the ultimate TAMP would be a redundant effort on the part of the department. The staff recommendation is to approve the refinement of those asset classes. And Mike Johnson is here if the commissioners have any further questions.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Once again, I think Christina summarized that very well. I see tab 85 as an administrative cleanup of these asset classes. We've been working very closely with CTC staff, and I think the combination of the asset management guidelines and this book item revising the classes puts us on the exact same page going forward, and I think that will be very good for asset management in California.
Questions? Is this an action item?
Yes, it's an action item, Commissioner.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Kehoe. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 86, Stephen.
Yes, Commissioners. Item 86 is a request for additional programming for the damage restoration reservation. The department is requesting another $115 million to go on top of the $860 the Commission has already approved. The damage is still being discovered as the snows melt and the waters run off from the mountains. Staff recommends that you approve this $150 million augmentation to the damage reservation.
Okay, motion by Gilmetti, second by Yvonne. Questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Stephen, this
Yes.
is 100% reimbursable by the feds?
This would be, most of it would be 100 reimbursable from the feds, but as you heard from the federal presentation,
It takes a while.
it takes a while, and right now they're looking at maybe $50 million for us, and we're almost $1 billion into this.
Good? Go ahead.
So, in round numbers, it's $1 billion worth of storm damage this year?
Yes.
So far, till, and
Well,
subject
it's
to increase.
$25 million shy of $1 billion.
Okay, so, but it can go north of that if more damages.
Well, the
realized?
year is almost over, so any more damage that's going to discover is going to start counting against the fiscal year that starts July 1.
Till Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does this include that Highway 1 slide? They're finding.
Probably not, huh?
Every day.
Yes, it does. Not for the reconstruction of a slide, but just to keep working at it.
Okay.
So I guess my question is, if we have to wait to get reimbursed, we have the $1 billion? Is everybody paid on the jobs?
Yes, people get paid. There is enough cash in the cash balance to pay.
Comey's going to write the check. Thank you.
I hope you get points. Put it on your credit card.
Okay, did we vote on this already? I don't think so. No. Okay. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Can I think Jim had a question first. Okay, item 90, Stephen.
Item 90, Commissioners, is the Caltrans Project Delivery Report, and Jim Davis is here to take us through all the wonderful stuff the department has done during the last quarter.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'd like to start off with really addressing Commissioner Dunn's request to Komei Jisei about what are we doing to accelerate project delivery, if I may. First, I want to report that we have just in the process of accelerating approximately $700 million from 18-19 into 17-18 to deliver as fast as we can. We're starting the process of looking at what projects that we can accelerate from 19-20 into 18-19 to make use of that money. We're in the process of amending somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 billion into either the August or October commission meeting that would have been amended in the March meeting as part of the 2018 shop. So we'll get 6 to 9 months of acceleration on those projects by doing that up front and faster. We're also making use of all of our design, build, and CMGC slots, although not enough. We are going to make full use of those. One of the things that we were talking about has been mentioned, we have to expand the industry capacity, both in the consultant community as well as the construction community and manufacturing. And so we've got 4 workshops that are in the process spread out over the state, start bringing in our partners to start looking at what all the things we have to do to expand the capacity for all the new revenue and projects that are going to come. We've increased the PID resources to get more PID projects out. That's imperative on this. Just a few minutes ago, we just sent out the new guidelines to streamline the PIDs to drive them to be more efficient, and that'll be driven through the department. We are also working on new design strategies to reduce the time it takes to deliver projects in construction or construction seasons. That's going to save support as well as capital dollars. The capital dollars, if we can get a project done in 2 seasons rather than 3 seasons, we're going to save escalation, so we can put that money back to work. So that's a real positive thing. With reduced construction seasons means we reduce the amount of support in construction that we need, which frees up resources to deliver more projects. We've done a heck of a job reducing our overhead, bringing that down, and then maximizing the resources for projects. That's a big feather in our cap for the things that we've done there. Or another way of looking at it is maximizing billable hours in that respect from the private side. One of the things that Director Doherty is directing the department is to take more intelligent risk. Right now, our performance measures, so we want to deliver 100% of our projects each year to construction. We need to take a lot more intelligent risks, and it may be that we deliver 96 or 95%, but the whole idea is instead of, is if maybe we can deliver $400 or $500 million more a year by putting the pedal on the metal. We may not deliver as many projects, but we can deliver the program as a whole faster. So taking more risk is an important piece and aspect of our strategy. To address the shelf, Commissioner Dunn, we were authorized for a shelf of PIDs of $500 million, although we've used most of that up with savings as well as the August redistribution, so that shelf is down to very small. So I'm happy to answer any more questions on accelerated project delivery and the things that we're trying to do to deliver projects more efficiently.
It's all domestic steel, right?
We follow the Buy America guidelines.
Okay, we have not applied for any waivers.
Not that I'm aware of in a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the most substantive thing I've heard today about what we're doing to try to get things moving. And
responding to me.
Just a brief comment that's kind of a sort of a accumulation of a lot of the discussion that has led up to this point in the meeting. I'm just wondering, if anybody, most people here are probably familiar with In-N-Out Burger. And if you want a good hamburger at a really good price, then you can go there. And that's their whole business. That's what they do. If you got anything else in mind to eat, don't go there because they're not going to have it. They don't even have onion rings. So I'm using that as just a brief example of maybe we ought to think about putting some kind of a task force together whose sole responsibility is to see how we can move this money that SB1 is going to be providing starting in November and moving forward. There seems to be a lot of kind of business as usual that we're dealing with in a lot of these aspects, and I'm very concerned about it. Yep. I'm concerned about the pushback that could happen politically, and our failure to A, get this money moving as quickly as we could wherever we can, and B, making sure that we get the message out that this is happening. Some of the stuff that Caltrans is doing right now, we ought to be figuring out a way to make sure people understand what's going on, that you guys are doing some innovative things to move these projects. I don't have it all fleshed out, but I was thinking about it as this meeting progressed, that maybe putting some kind of a well-organized, streamlined, not a big fat task force together, but something lean and mean that can analyze this and figure out how you can get Caltrans and all the other moving parts to be working together on this.
Commissioner Arp, Commissioner Arp, I'll
task for that little oversight committee that I just appointed today.
Oh,
you're on it, baby. Thank you very much,
That's
Mr.
the trouble with having a chair like Commissioner Alvarado.
Good for Lucy to be on it.
Commissioner Arp, I'm going to support your suggestion if that task force can meet at In-N-Out Burger.
At what?
Lucy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Commissioner Kehoe is in my ear too, and I would be absolutely happy to volunteer to help anything to help expedite the funds, be it to the task force or a separate group. So oh, that's true. We have issues. The other one that I'm fascinated by is, again, and Commissioner Arp just said it, if we keep doing things the same way, we will guarantee that no changes will be made for efficiencies. And I know I'm stepping into political issue here, but there's a trailer bill that also requires our capital outlay support to still be 90% state staff versus 10% external consultants, when we could be expanding that not only to grow support for SB1, but also to spread the wealth around. Is there any talk at all about making that more flexible for Caltrans? I get a sense that district directors would like the flexibility of being able to bring on outside staff. So, and I may be stepping in it, I get it, but I really would like us to be able to make those kind of recommendations as a commission in order to expedite these projects. So you don't have to comment, I get it, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'd also like to just add on to that, when we get back to number 89, which we just skipped regarding the
chargers. I mean, there's 11 chargers for $24 million. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, if we're going to have any credibility with the public whatsoever on the use of SB1 money, then we darn well better start making sure we're being as efficient as possible. And if that means getting outside entities to bid against what Caltrans is providing, then that's the policy that I'd like to see this commission recommend at some point, so the legislature can actually keep that trust with the public after having raised the gas tax via SB1. If we don't do that, it's going to continue to erode credibility, and the projects that everybody in this room is so anxious to get out there on the street are going to continue to be more and more difficult. And for this commissioner, it gets very frustrating to continue to hear business as usual. This should not be business as usual. This is a mandate to move forward to change the infrastructure in this state that has been allowed to decline for years, decades. And here we have this chance with SB1, and I think right now, at this point, we're not doing a very good job.
I also want us to make sure that our partners on the local side are ramped up and, you know, we have the sense of urgency, not for business as usual there, because the public, by and large, has no clue whether the road they're on is a local road or who's in charge of it. So I think that not only do we collectively have the responsibility for the dollars that we're entrusted with, but for those local dollars to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can to make sure that there's a difference. And then we talked about a PR campaign, but I also think we need to keep some running communication program going about what we have accomplished. And it may be as simple as how many potholes have been filled this week or whatever, but I think it's more than just a road sign. I think it's a huge campaign to show folks that they've entrusted us and we've heard them and we're getting the work done.
If I may, I think Commissioner Madafa referred to item 89. There are 11 projects, but there are actually 39 locations that those works going to go into. We had to group them into projects. I totally agree. I think we have taken on the challenge of not pursuing business as usual. We had a nice celebration when SB1 passed on the Thursday, and I think we referred to the Monday after as the "oh crap Monday," because it dawned on us that we now have an obligation to show that we can get this done. And so we've been drilling from then on in April on how to address the resources that are coming at us. We have weekly meetings as a group that we formed of 4 of our division chiefs that are dealing within the department on that. The things that Jim's talking about, again, we have to work within the capacities and tools that are available to us, both in law and regulation. But we also have reports that we have to turn on to the secretary. We meet with the secretary on a regular basis. So I can assure you and all that nobody is sitting back and trying to just do this as business as usual. I think we're looking forward to the challenge, and we want to be able to justify the additional tools that we think need to be brought to bear on what we have ahead of us. But we have to make that case and show that we actually can make that happen.
Further questions? I'm sorry. I'm playing with this microphone over here. Thank you very much. So we go to item 91. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioners, item 91 is a allocation request for a project that is exceeding its program amount by more than 20%. This is a shop project at a roadside rest area in the mountains on I-80 in Placer County. The original scope of the project was to build reconstruct wastewater treatment facilities, to build 3 ponds into the ground. After the water quality people took a look at what was being proposed, they decided that water table is too high for something like that. The ponds have to be built above ground. This is driving up the cost of the project. Staff recommends that you approve this allocation.
Second. Motion by Gilmetti, second by Art. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 92 has been withdrawn.
Yes.
Item 93.
Yes, Commissioners. Item 93 is a supplemental funds request The request is for $522,000 to close out a construction contract on ALA 580. The project ran into some clearance issues. The contractor filed claims. Claims now amounted to the $522,000. Staff recommends that you approve the supplemental allocation.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Dunn. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 94.
Yes, Commissioner, this is Reza Fahmy. First, Susan, thanks for the introduction earlier. I'm happy to have been at your service and Commission service. Commissioners, tab 94 is an information item reflecting the preliminary closeout report on minor program for this year. If you have any questions on that. Tab 95 is an action item regarding the annual minor program lump sum allocation for next year. This request is for a total of $160 million for capital and support. The request is consistent with 2016 SHOP document, and the staff recommend Commission approval.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Burke. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 96.
Commissioners, item 96 is an action item requesting an allocation for 26 delivered 2016 SHOP projects. Note that Project 7 has been withdrawn as indicated on the change list. Staff has reviewed the remaining projects in this allocation request and recommends 26 SHOP projects for allocation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Arp, second by Dunn. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 97.
Commissioners, item 97 is an action item request for allocation for one currently programmed SHOP project that is delivered. Staff has reviewed the project and recommends approval.
Motion by Burke, second by Tavaloni. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 98.
Commissioners, item 98 is an action item for project development support for 1,600 SHOP projects with open support phases. The passage of SB1 necessitates that Caltrans and the Commission establish baseline budgets, support budgets for each phase of each project in the SHOP. The allocation request in the book item will ensure that the SHOP project with open phases and ongoing work are treated in the same fashion as projects with new phases allocated after July 1, 2017 under the SB1 guidelines. This action will establish the baseline budget for each open phase and will support transparency and accountability. Note that Project 240 has been withdrawn. With this change, staff recommends approval of projects with open phases for environmental, design, and right-of-way support work.
Motion by Madaffer, second by Burke. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 99.
Commissioners, item 99 is an action item for construction support allocation on 296 SHOP projects currently active in construction with open construction support phases. This request is consistent with SB1 authorities. This action, similar to the previous item, will ensure that the budget for each SHOP project with open phase is managed in accordance with the expectation of SB1. Note the yellow replacement book item. Staff recommends approval of this allocation.
So moved.
Motion by Arp, second by, was that Burke? Yvonne? Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 100.
Commissioners, item 100 is an action item for support allocation for 2016 SHOP projects similar to the previous item, but have not yet opened and received charges. This will ensure the budget for each SHOP project is managed in accordance with SB1. Staff recommends your approval.
Motion by Tavaloni, second by Burke. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 101's withdrawn. Item 102.
Commissioners, item 102 is an action item requesting an allocation for 3 currently programmed SHOP projects that are programmed in a future fiscal year but delivered early. Staff recommends your approval.
Second.
Motion by Fran, second by Dunn. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 103.
Commissioners, item 103 is an action item. This is a financial allocation request for 5 locally administered STIP projects. This request is consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
Second.
Motion by Tavoloni, second by Arp. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next.
Item 104 is an action item. This is a financial allocation advancement for a locally administered STIP project in Yolo County. This project is currently programmed in 1920. As there is sufficient capacity, staff recommends the commission approve this amendment as requested. Staff recommends your approval.
Second.
Motion by Gilmetti, second by Arp. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next.
Item 105 is an action item. This is a financial allocation advancement for 13 PPM projects. They are programmed in 1718 in the STIP. It is not uncommon for agencies to come before you at the June Commission meeting to request PPM so they can start incurring costs on July 1st. This request is consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
Motion by Dunn, second by Inman. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 106.
Item 106 is also an action item. This is a financial allocation advancement for an AB 3090 reimbursement program in 1718 in Placer County. This request is consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
So moved.
Motion by Arp, second by Gilmetti. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 107.
Item 107 is an action item. This is a financial allocation request for the Daly City BART Station Improvement Transit Project program in the STIP. This request is consistent with STIP guidelines and the program. Staff recommends your approval.
Motion by Gilmetti, second by Burke. Questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 108.
Yes, Commissioner, tab 108 is an action item to approve the baseline agreement for Durfee Avenue Grade Separation Project in Los Angeles County, Project 125, which was entered into the TCIF program per Commission action last March for $2.62 million. Staff recommend Commission approval.
Okay. Motion by Burke, second by Inman. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to jump to item 120, and then we'll call it a day. So under item 120, we'll be done.
Yes. So,
Yes.
so tab 120 is a pink handout, so you should have that in your handouts from earlier today. So consistent with our TCRP closeout policy adopted at the May Commission meeting, tab 120 is an action item to amend the State Route 46 Expressway project in Kern County to receive $26,372,000 of TCRP savings. These savings are provided to the project with the support of San Diego Association of Governments, Riverside County Transportation Commission, Stanislaus Council of Governments, and Alameda County Transportation Commission. Staff has reviewed the request and recommends approval.
A motion by Manafra, second by Dunn. We have two speakers on this item. Vito, there he is, and Bill Zaslaki.
Actually, I'm going to speak on behalf of both of us to be respectful of your time. It's great. Chair, thank you very much. Fellow Commissioners, my name is Vito Chiesa, Stanislaus County Supervisor and a member of Stanislaus Council of Governments. Our chairman is Bill Zalaki. We're here for item 120, the TCRP swap, which you're going to take up. We're fully in support of that. No one ever likes to give up money or lose money, but we think that this is a good thing. We will come up short on State Route 132, the improvements, but we want to thank the CTC staff because they worked tirelessly to try and help us reconfigure this money to no avail, but we all tried, and Kern County also for doing this swap. It's the best outcome we could look for. Quite frankly, these are exciting times in transportation. If I look at all the things that I'm doing every day, there's not a lot of things I'm excited about, but with SB1, and then we're one of 4 counties that joined the Self-Help Coalition, so I can show up here at the CTC with my head held high for the first time ever. So we're very excited. We're working on rail projects, Amtrak, ACE, fully integrated with high-speed rail, and we look forward also to hosting you in October in Stanislaus County. So again, thank you very much for your consideration on this issue.
Thank you. Let's see, we did the motion. We got the second. That was the question. Speaker, questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, hold on just 1 second.
We need to take 88. Question for staff. I understand agenda items 88 and 89 need to be heard today. Is that correct?
I thought that was day 2.
We have it marked as day 2. Do agenda items 88 and 89 need to be heard today? They do.
If the speakers are, if everybody, if it's noticed for day 2.
It's not noticed for day 2. It's just staff had. I want to. This is a question of staff. I'm looking at Rick.
Yes.
Do you need to?
87, 88, 89?
Just 88 and 89. We've done 87.
No.
We haven't done 87?
We have not done 87, 88, or 89, and I think we can do them all today.
Okay, we were. Can we, Chair? Can we take a short break?
Oh, I see. That's 80. Okay, I see now.
I know.
We're going to take a 5-minute break to see who's here and who's not here, and then we'll make a decision on the next 4 items. We may do that today, Chris.